This podcast is recorded on the lands of the Ngunnawal people. We acknowledge their continuing connection to land, waters, and culture, and pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Sovereignty was never ceded. This always was and always will be Aboriginal land. The Run Bitch Run podcast is dedicated to the women in Australia that are taken from us every year due to intimate partner and gender-based violence. The attitudes of men in this country towards women paints a very ugly picture. Fervent denial of gender inequality, victim blaming, and the instant dismissal of abuse claims when a woman steps forward all contribute to the culture of violence that we bear witness to every single day. This podcast aims to help women spot the red flags before it's too late. When we see the signs, we can break the cycle. Before we dive into today's episode, I do want to acknowledge that some of the topics discussed may be triggering or difficult for some people to hear. If you or someone you know and care about is affected by intimate partner violence or abuse, please consider reaching out for help. You are most definitely not alone. On the 24th of October 2025, a truly masterful and lyrically chaotic airing of Dirty Laundry was unleashed on the world, and the world as we know it would never be the same. After 8 full listen-throughs, and while being sonically diverse and quite delightfully punchy, Lily Allen's latest musical project does leave a few questions lingering on my mind. Mainly, where did David develop this audacity he seems to harbour? If you get my drift. And why would he feel the need to stray, considering Alan's very public persona as an outspoken, sexually liberated woman? Today on Run Bitch Run, we're going to deep dive into the Madonna whore complex and why that means not even hot British Nepo babies are safe from the ignorance of men. Hello, welcome back. It is episode 7. Let's go. Episode 7 of the Run Bitch Run podcast. Ho, 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 ho. I'm doing this in my living room. Can you fucking imagine what that looks like? I'm just fist pumping the air. I'd say I never thought I'd make it this far, but I planned a 10 episode season 1. So, I did expect to get this far, and here I am. I have taken, again, I say this at literally the front of every episode, so I'm going to stop saying it. I've taken a break from the podcast for a little while. I will release episodes as I goddamn want to, and I will not be told otherwise. No, I do want to be a bit more consistent, and I have recently had a bit of a, everyone's quite aware about the big breakups that have happened in my life this year. I've talked a little bit about my grief and my loss as well, so it's been a big time. 2025 has been a big time. But I've recently moved into an apartment on my own, and so that is the most exciting thing that's ever happened to me. My dog and I are just chilling now. We're like building into a nice little routine. We go for our hot girl walks twice a day. What else has it been like? I mean, cooking the food that I love and being able to not constantly look over to my right or to my left and say, does it taste good? I can just ask myself, and it always does. Of course it always tastes good because I made it. I'm probably speaking really quickly. I don't mean to be. I think I'm just really excited to get into like the meat of the episode today. So as I said in the intro, we're going to be touching on the Madonna whore complex, which you've probably heard, you've probably heard of it if you're somewhat in like the same sphere that I run in on the internet. It's quite popular when discussing like feminist theory, stuff like that. stuff like that, just that crazy feminist theory stuff. And essentially, well, I'm going to tell you like what it is, and then we're going to go into how that presents in pop culture, and that's obviously going to be tied in with the new Lily Allen album, which is fantastic, by the way. We'll get into it, and then I'm also going to share a story that from my life from, I don't know, I think 3 months ago, that I kind of inspired like the episode. So that's pretty much it. I don't have many other updates really. I've just been trucking along, working my normal full-time job. My dog has been quite anxious moving into the new place, and so any tips and tricks, if anybody has any, on how to settle your dog, that would be great. But she is kind of getting better, although she recently spent one night at my ex's house where my ex has my other dog, and because we had to split them basically. Well, yeah, I say we had to. Maybe we didn't have to, but I don't know. For us, that's what we wanted to do. Anyways, I don't know why I feel like I need to justify that. Anyways, it's worked out much better because I think that they are much happier as separate dogs. But then they do still see each other when I had like a house inspection. So I needed to get my dog out of the house because the real estate agents in this country are terrified of 3-kilogram poodle cross dachshunds. Anyway, so she spent the night at my ex's house, and then she's come back and she's very anxious, like gnawing at the door when I leave for work and sleeping at the door when I leave for work, like when I go and she's sleeping at my front door. It's very sad. I have a camera just for like security. As single girl life, need to make sure nobody comes in and murders me. And I watch her when I'm at work on the cameras, and she is just so anxious. She's just a ball of anxiousness. But we persevere, we will make it through, and I'm going to get straight into it today. So let's fucking deep dive onto what the Madonna whore complex is and how that impacts pop culture and my life personally. If you've ever heard the term the Madonna whore complex, you might immediately question why one is conflating the Queen of Pop with promiscuity, and also in what context, but the phrase actually has nothing to do with the musician herself, but rather her namesake. According to modernintimacy.com, the Madonna whore complex, or MWC, is a psychological complex often perpetrated by heterosexual cisgender males, which places women into two categories: the Madonna, defined as a woman who is pure, virtuous, and nurturing, or a whore, a woman who is deemed as overly sexual, manipulating, and promiscuous. The dichotomy of MWC creates a rigidity that limits women's sexual expression, agency, and freedom by defining their sexuality into one of two categories. Freud originally coined the term MWC to describe men in heterosexual relationships who no longer viewed their partners, for whom they had romantic feelings, as sexually attractive. It was Freud's theory that men with the Madonna whore complex could not differentiate between their love for their mother and their love for their romantic partner. Men suffering from MWC often can't view women's sexuality as loving and sexual. To cope with these feelings of anxiety, they then compartmentalize their romantic love for women they deem to have the qualifications of a wife and mother, but then have little to no sexual desire and devalue women that they consider promiscuous, but whom they sexually desire. Very weird. In other words, men with MWC can only become fully sexually aroused when reducing their partner to a sexualized object, degrading her in the process because the good girl, or the Madonna, can't be fully sexually desired. Feminist theory suggests that the MWC is deeply rooted in upholding our patriarchal society in an attempt to control women's sexual autonomy. Shaming women with sexual freedom reinforces harmful gender stereotypes and double standards, but it does allow men to maintain a position of power. In popular culture, the Madonna whore complex is transformed into an often subtly presenting cinematic trope that you might not even pick up on if you're not paying close enough attention. You might recall in the 1978 film Grease, the main protagonist Sandy begins as a straight-laced quote-unquote good girl, but by the end of the film she changes her image to that of a quote-unquote bad girl to appease Danny, the man she's interested in, as if she can't be both of those things, and Danny, assumably, wouldn't want her if she was. Another great example is the Archie comics. Betty is the blue-eyed, blonde good girl character, and Veronica is her counterpart, dark hair, dark eyes, and seemingly stronger-willed. Both want the love and affection of Archie, the main protagonist, but the idea he could ever find a lover with a combination of both personas seems unimaginable. A couple of other notable mentions include Alfred Hitchcock's film Vertigo, Martin Scorsese's films Taxi Driver and Raging Bull, and the David Cronenberg film Spiders, all of which do explore the Madonna Hall complex in their own very unique ways. Now, my friends know that I was immediately skeptical of Lily Allen's latest addition to her discography. I kind of couldn't imagine that there would be anything worthwhile listening to, just amongst a track list with such titles as 4chan Stan and Non-Monogamummy. But I was admittedly, very pleasantly surprised. From start to finish, West End Girl tells the story of Lily's now ex-husband David, who played the dad from Stranger Things, cheating on her throughout their 4-year marriage. Each track reveals something extra about the infidelity, like a train that she was unknowingly taking a ride on, with extra characters jumping on and off the carriage as they play their part. I was writing the script for this episode of the podcast when I first listened to the album, and then was quite taken aback by how relatable the third song was. The track, titled Sleepwalking, is described by Genius as Lily Allen just detailing the sexual struggles between her and her ex-husband, specifically his desire for more sex with Lily when he's also sleeping with other women on the side, in an attempt to fill in for her, while he's also blaming her for his cheating. So, make any sense of that. What really caught my attention was the lyrics in the bridge entering the second chorus, which goes as follows. I know you've made me your Madonna. I want to be your whore. Baby, it would be my honor. Please, sir, can I have some more? I could preserve all your fantasies if only you could act them all out with me. In these lyrics, Lily directly references the Madonna whore complex, and we can reasonably take away that she's struggling with David's inability to see her as a fully multifaceted woman. She's a wife and mother, of course, but what is it about those two qualities that prevent her from also being a confident, sexually liberated woman? The answer is simply nothing, because she can be all three. And so much more, but her ex-husband simply refuses to accept this as truth. She's begging for his affection, like a poor orphan boy begging for food scraps, as evidenced by the line referencing Oliver Twist. As women, we so often beg for scraps from our romantic partners because the bar is frankly on the floor, and we do accept the love that we think we deserve. She longs to be his ultimate play partner, the one that he yearns for but cannot find due to his own insecurities and shortcomings. The existence of this album in general is baffling to me. I remember being 12, almost 13, and listening to Not Fair by Lily Allen for the first time. I didn't know what a wet patch in the middle of the bed meant, and I definitely never heard a song from the perspective of a woman talking about how her partner isn't able to please her. This was kind of a transformative realization for prepubescent Audrey. Like, you mean to tell me that sex is for women too? Crazy. That it doesn't just end when the man finishes? Crazy. I studied the lyrics and I kind of found myself, forever changed, sort of. Like, there was this whole other world out there for me to explore. And, maybe I too could have an orgasm one day. Crazy. Lily didn't release her next album for 9 years, and so I had over time naturally drifted away from her discography, but the themes of sexual freedom and unapologetic desire stuck with me. Lily too has remained outspoken and unfiltered when talking about sex and sexuality, and her public image has always reflected that. It's almost as if David Harbour could have done any ounce of research on the woman he chose to marry before trying to pull the wool over her eyes. It literally is Lily fucking Allen that we're talking about here. Fortunately for her, though, she has broken free of a man not worth her time and has since filed for divorce. And she's not without her controversies, I do acknowledge that, but in this specific instance, I wish her well. And I wanted to end this on, who the fuck is Madeline? Now that we've gone over exactly what the Madonna whore complex is and how that presents itself in pop culture, I also wanted to share a recent story from my life and how the complex has presented itself IRL. So, about 3 months ago, I dated a man that happened to be in the military. My first mistake was dating a man in the military, but moving forward, we shall refer to him as Military Man. Military Man, although he was on the slightly shorter side than what I normally would date, he was also very hot, very sexy, and very good in bed. I am a normal human being, obviously, so I could ascertain that this sexual experience came from him doing the horizontal tango with women who were not me long, long before me, and definitely long, long after me, as we can only assume. Anyways, I had no issue with the fact that he was well versed in a number of areas, if you catch my drift, because it matched well with my energy and we were both having a great time. When I reflect, I think I liked him because he was quiet and kind of gentle, but could also be, really dominating and sexy. And that's exactly the type of man I look for, a very knowingly multifaceted man. The relationship between us was somewhat casual, but we spoke about it becoming more of a consistent longer term thing. And I think we ended up seeing each other for a total of about a month, so not a super long time, but at the point of us meeting, it was about a 2-ish week lead up to my birthday, and we were having a little chit chat one day when I mentioned a really high powered vibrator from Japan that I used to have that was gifted to me by an ex like 10 years ago. It had died a long time ago, but the Military Man had actually gone to find and found its successor online and then ordered for it to be shipped from Germany, which would have been a good like couple of $100, right? And this was for my birthday as a birthday present. So it wasn't going to arrive in time for my birthday, but it was like a cool, fun thing that we were tracking from Germany, and he would regularly update me on where it was. Now, I know what you're thinking, and yes, this is a slightly unrelated detail of the story, but I wanted to share it anyway, and it kind of ties in at the end, okay? Because it gives a really good insight into his character. But anyways, back to the main issue. When we first started dating, I had asked him what his body count was, as in how many people that he had slept with. I truly didn't care what the answer was. I literally only asked that out of genuine curiosity, and if people don't want to tell me, I really don't mind. It's just kind of, I think it's an interesting conversation to have, that's all. He was happy to tell me what his body count was, but I noted he didn't ask me for mine, and he said that it was because he learned early in his life that you shouldn't ask those kinds of questions. I kind of thought, weird, but fair, some people are like that. Different strokes for different folks, as they say, and I didn't think to push it. Jump forward a month. He's been a bit off with me, I get it. I mean, I'm sad about it, but that's the way the cookie crumbles when you're dating. Sometimes people get a bit off. I'd explained to him that sometimes in the past I'd slept with my friends, and he let me know that that had made him uncomfortable. I thought, naively, he might just get over it because I wasn't actively sleeping with these people and they were genuinely still friends. And also, he'd been open with me that I knew at least one woman he'd previously been entangled with. So from my perspective, we kind of seemed like two sides of the same coin, you know what I mean? And then, one day, while discussing the whole Audrey previously sleeping with her friends thing, he does ask me what my body count is. He kind of just asks me if I know how many people that I'd slept with. And look, frankly, I don't know the number because there is a lot of trauma from my early 20s and, it does kind of make it a bit hard to remember certain things. And I just wasn't keeping track during my quote unquote slut phase. I refuse to feel bad about any of that and I'm not going to. And that's exactly what I told him. We went back and forth and the conversation ended with him saying that if he ran into someone at his work, so in the military, that had carnal knowledge of my body and mind, as in if they'd slept with me, he would find that situation demoralizing. He actually used the word demoralizing. The man who was totally fine bending me over his damn couch and using all manner of implements to have me strung up was concerned that he might meet someone who'd fucked me before. Crazy. When I'm actively dating, I don't misrepresent who I am and what I stand for and where I come from. I'm very much a take me or leave me kind of person, and based on his words and actions in the lead up to this, I thought he had more or less accepted my quirks, right? The switch up left me with a very sour taste in my mouth, to say the least. It's 2025, and for some reason men still aren't really grasping the concept that a sexually liberated woman isn't born that way. Crazy, crazy stuff. In that moment, I ended it, and I said verbatim, "Okay, I don't feel the need to plead my case here. I can read between the lines. When can I give you back your Tupperware?" And to this day, I have not heard from Military Man. Like I said at the start, this was almost 3 months ago. I even sent a follow-up message saying I'd drop off the Tupperware that weekend, which I did because I'm a principled, normal, lovely human being. But he fully ghosted me. And then, yes, to tie it back in, that means the vibrator as well. I know it got delivered because I saw him briefly one day before everything had imploded, and he had it plugged in his living room just to show me that it had arrived, and obviously we were talking about using it. So I don't know. I can only assume maybe he just never actually meant to give it to me, or it's a confusing situation. I'd like to pose a question to you, my beautiful audience of bitches. What do you personally think is worse, right? Being told you're getting your dream vibrator only to have it stolen, or being slut-shamed by a tiny toy soldier? And that's all I have for you today on episode 7 of the Run Bitch Run podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this kind of more shorter, snappier version of the pod. As per always, I'm looking to level up the podcast. So if you ever have any tips, tricks, or ideas, I'm always really open to hearing about them. And the final kind of note that I wanted to leave you all on today is the title of the episode. So Madonna, a whore, and your mum walk into a bar. My message to you all is, plot twist, your mum is all three. And so am I. And if you're a woman listening to this, you are probably as well. Maybe not the mother bit. I mean, neither am I. I'm not a mother except to my beautiful baby Beans, as I said at the start. But I think the sooner that men can accept that women are very wholly multifaceted. We are Madonna, we are a whore, we are a mother, we are all of these things. And that doesn't devalue us or that makes us any less at all. And it's an uncomfortable thought to imagine that your mum is all three of those things as well. But that's the reality of it. That's the truth of it. And we can't hide from it. So I wish you the best day ever. I hope that everyone's having a healthy and safe holiday period for 2025 or the end of 2025. And I'm unsure if there'll be another episode before the end of this year. But if there's not, I will see you guys in 2026. Bye.